Hello from York, where it has been an incredible day here at the Ebor Festival 2019. Welcome to another Racing Post Postscript with myself, Sam Hansen, and Racing Post senior writer, Lee Mottershead. Lee, that really was a day to savour, a day I think I'll remember for a long, long time for all the right reasons. We'll start with Battaash. He was just sensational.
Yeah, as you say, we build this as probably as good a Friday of the Ebor Festival as we could remember, and it delivered, and Battaash certainly delivered. He delivered on a track and in a race that had delivered pretty miserable memories for connections with this horse. In the previous 2 years, he'd been fourth in the two Nunthorpes. Going into this Nunthorpe, Charlie Hills, the trainer, made a point of saying after the race he had thought about perhaps swerving it this year because of doubts about whether this track really suited Battaash, but then Sheikh Hamdan said, no, I'm going to be at York, I'm not going to be in Ireland, where they also run the horse next. So he came here and he was sensational.
Yeah.
He was sensational. The acceleration he showed to put the race to bed just before 2 furlongs out was blistering, and he maintained that pace and that surge all the way to the line to post a wide margin victory. In doing so, he smashed a 5 furlong course record that had been held for 29 years by Dejour, who did it in this race in the colours of Sheikh Hamdan. And so what a way for that record to be broken by another superb sprinter in the Sheikh Hamdan silks. It was a wonderful performance. Heads now probably to the Flying Five in Ireland, then the Prix de la Bay he won 2 years ago when it was run at Chantilly. And then excitingly, Charlie Hills is very keen to go for the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint at Santa Anita. Sheikh Hamdan was less keen.
Yeah.
He made the point that the horse will have had a long season and that encounters a bend, which clearly most sprints over this part of the world don't encounter. And when I said to Sheikh Hamdan, well, Charlie Hills is pretty keen, Sheikh Hamdan, he said, well, I know he's keen, trainers are always keen. So it'd be then, I think, a battle of can Charlie persuade Sheikh Hamdan to go to America.
Yeah.
That would be a new challenge, but of course this was a challenge that Battaash had previously fluffed. He showed today that he definitely handles York.
And I think it was because he'd previously fluffed his lines here a bit that the bookmakers priced him up at what I thought was good value. I mean, I wasn't quite as quick as Battaash, but when I saw it was 2 to 1, I did sprint down to get some money on. I did, yeah.
That's an impressive performance. And yeah, you're right. I was edging towards 10 Sovereigns beforehand just because of that Battaash York question mark. As it turned out, 10 Sovereigns down to 5 furlongs from the 6 he won the July Cup over was made to look slow relative to Battaash, but all the horses in the field were made to look slow relative to Battaash. He was lightning fast today. Jim Crowder, the jockey, was on a real high afterwards, saying he couldn't ever recall having had a buzz off a horse as he had on that straight track over there. Yeah, it was a wonderful performance, and great to see a top flight sprint won like that.
Yeah.
You know, there was a long time when the sprinting division in those years, post Dejour and horse like Oasis Dream, in those years afterwards, it didn't really take off. We didn't see performances like that. But Battaash delivered one today, and it was thrilling to witness.
It was. And at the other end of the speed spectrum, to steal your lines from this morning, your scene setter, Stradivarius in the staying division, he's the undisputed king of that division, and Weatherby's Hamilton took another big hit, didn't they?
They did, yeah. He's not as quick as Battaash, but he goes on for longer. And he goes on for longer, and he keeps winning. So for the second consecutive year, he won the Weatherby's Hamilton £1 million bonus. He, for the second consecutive year, is going unbeaten through this season. Yorkshire Cup, Gold Cup, Goodwood Cup and now Lonsdale Cup. And as with Stradivarius, as ever, there was a brief moment where you thought, is he in trouble? You know, Frankie went for the whip and you thought, is he going to find? But he finds. It's just what he does. He finds and he wins. And he won again. He'll probably now go on to Champions Day as last year, and all the indications are that he'll be around again next season to try and do the same. What probably won't be around next season is that £1 million bonus. because Charles Hamilton, the chief executive of Weatherby's Hamilton, an insurance company who were putting up the money, made the point that last year they were floored by Stradivarius after a 4-round battle. They got up off the canvas, they went into another battle, they were floored again, and he was making the point that after twice being knocked out by Stradivarius, it might not be wise to go in with him again next year. So I think Stradivarius might well have seen off that Weatherby's Hamilton bonus. It's existed 2 years, he's won it 2 years. Next year they'll have to think of something else.
They have been seen off, but his fans will be delighted by the news that he stays in training again. And actually, I think him and Battaash and obviously Enable yesterday, those horses, I think, have epitomised what has made this season so fantastic, because they've stuck around, they've stayed in training, we've got to know them a bit, and they've become real people's favourites, haven't they?
You're absolutely right, and that is the key, and it's what flat racing often suffers from, that those champions, they come and then they so quickly go off to stud. But with, as you say, Enable here in a 5-year-old season, Stradivarius again, back again this year for more Battaash, and of course Battaash as a gelding, we can hopefully see Battaash running in this race under the major sprints for 2-3 more years. And people do become attached to these horses, they become familiar with these horses, they get to know their quirks, their foibles, what's fantastic about them. We feel like we know horses like Enable, Stradivarius and Battaash very well. And as you say, the joy is that we'll hopefully be knowing Stradivarius and Battaash very well next season too.
A horse we know a bit less, he's much younger of course, 2 years old, Threat, but impressive performance today.
Yeah, he was a clear horse, a clear pick on ratings for the Gimcrack beforehand, but obviously that doesn't always convert to victory. With Threat it did. It was a really solid effort under Sheen Murphy for Richard Hannon, who of course had that incredible performance with Mum's Tipple over the same course and distance yesterday. With Threat, they're probably going to work back from next year's Guineas. Might not run that often again, that many more times this season, but an exciting horse for next year. But I think more exciting is that next year we're going to have Battaash and Stradivarius to enjoy again.
As I said at the start, a really incredible day here, today to savour. What was your personal highlight?
Battaash. I love a stayer, but I thought Battaash was electric in the Nunthorpe, and that was a Nunthorpe. So to break a course record that had held for 29 years, and one that was set by one of the all-time great sprinters, Dejour, to do that, to break that record, to win so readily in a race that had been a hoodoo for him in the past, was fabulous.
I'd have to agree as well. It was just it was the way that he did it, wasn't it? It was the way, it was just explosive and fantastic. On to the big handicap, the Ebor tomorrow, so don't forget to download the free Racing Post app for all the must-have info on that big race.